Hey guys, welcome to Green Bean Fiction. So in today's video we are gonna see, what if Deku became Superman and fell for Batgirl? This story is Izuku Absolute Superman by DKDDKS10. Before starting, make sure to hit that like button, as your one like motivates me to bring more stories, and subscribe the channel if you are new so you won't miss our latest videos. We are located in Gotham City, also known as the #1 crime city in the world. That place contained the worst of the worst in the whole world. They were among the worst villains of all time, some created by the consequences of society, and others created because they just had a bad day. But that society, despite being on the verge of chaos, had a group of people who kept it afloat despite the certainties that this meant. And those people were none other than the Bat family. A group of people who, despite life treating them in the worst possible way, found a way to use that pain as strength, and use it to do what was right. We are currently in Wayne Manor, where a black-haired girl could be seen reading some books on linguistics. Cassandra. He went to the is left, and then trying to pronounce the words correctly. At that moment, two girls enter the library and approach Cassandra. Barbara. Hi, Cass, I hope this isn't boring you. Approaching Cassandra with the help of her wheelchair. Stephanie. It's clear she's bored, there are only books here and little action. Cassandra would try to say something to her friends, but the only things that would come out of her mouth would be words impossible to understand. Barbara found Cassandra's attempts at communication cute, while the girl in the black suit found them quite embarrassing. Stephanie approaches Cassandra and sits down next to her. Stephanie. What do you think about going to the Watchtower? Everyone's there, it'll be fun to hang out with our friends. Cassandra thought about it for a while, and she certainly didn't dislike the idea. Cassandra nods her head and smiles at her friends. Stephanie. Okay, Cass, get dressed, and I'll see you in the Batcave. Stephanie and Barbara leave the library, while Cassandra puts on her mask and boots. A few minutes later, Cassandra descends into the Batcave, wearing a suit that completely concealed her true appearance. Stephanie. Okay, let's go. Barbara enters some coordinates into the Batcomputer, and a yellow energy portal opens behind them. Stephanie. Let the party begin. Open mouth smile. They all pass through the portal, and are teleported to the Watchtower. Looking closely, Cassandra would see some familiar faces in the place. Dick and Tim approach the girls, and Barbara approaches Dick. Barbara. Is there anything interesting on today? Dick. No, actually, it's quite calm today. There's no alert or anything like that. Stephanie. First time this year that everything is as quiet as. At that moment, Stephanie noticed that Cassandra was somewhat distracted. Dick notices it too, and smiles. Dick. Someone seems to be more sociable than usual. What were they doing at the mansion? Barbara. Well, Cass was trying to learn to read, and incidentally, to learn to speak. Dick is surprised to hear what Barbara said. Dick. Really? Quite incredulous. Stephanie. Yes, friend, your little sister already wants to learn to socialize with others, so you better support her, or Dad will punish you. Dick. What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to help Cass become more sociable. Stephanie. Yes, of course. At that moment, the holographic displays on the Watchtower change from blue to red, and satellite images of Japan are shown. Tara approaches the holographic screens and presses a button on them. Everyone approaches Tara and observes the holographic screens. Harper. What the hell is going on now? I thought today was our day off. Tara. It seems that crime doesn't know what a day off is. They all watch recordings of a city in Japan being attacked by creatures with exposed brains, along with people trying to stop the creatures without much success. Dick. We have to go help them. Everyone takes their suits and weapons, but at that moment, a loud bang would catch everyone's attention. As they turned around, everyone would see a piece of the Watchtower begin to crack and separate from the rest of the space station. Brian. That doesn't look good. Leah. Do you think it looks good? Of course it doesn't. Megan. Listen, Alpha Team, you're in charge of the creatures attacking Japan. Beta Team, you try to rebuild the Watchtower as best you can until we return. Is that clear? Everyone agreed, and they divided into two teams. Alpha Team goes through the boom tube, and they are sent straight to Japan. Rocket. Okay, you heard Megan, Get into pairs and try to isolate the area that's losing oxygen. The rest of you, try to find tools in the hangar to contain the damage to the structure. Everyone nods, and they pair up. Cassandra holds the handles of Barbara's wheelchair and helps her move around the watchtower. Barbara. That's very kind of you, Cass. I see those etiquette books I gave you are really working their magic. Cassandra looks away, and simply remembers what she actually does with the books on manners that Barbara gave her. Cassandra's memory. End of Cassandra's memory. Both arrive at the area that was destroyed, and would be speechless upon seeing the state in which that area of the watchtower was found. Barbara. This looks serious. We need to be careful. Who knows what could have caused this? At that moment, they both hear a noise behind them, and both would become alert in case of an attack. Cassandra draws her katana, while Barbara pulls some batarangs out of her sweatshirt. Someone emerges from the rubble, and as they stand up, both Batgirls are surprised to see them. Barbara. Ooh, God, fearful. Cassandra was speechless when she saw that mysterious subject, but at the same time, she felt impressed to see him. Elsewhere, we are located at the lowest roots of Yggdrasil, the multiversal tree that keeps the multiverse united and at peace. Spider Rider, along with another individual, were keeping the newly created roots of the tree in order. This is stupid. When will I be able to go on an adventure like you and the guy with the hat? Spider Rider. Julio, keeping the roots of Yggdrasil healthy and well cared for is just as important as exploring the universes within it. We can't jump headfirst into action without knowing what we're protecting. Julio. Dude, they're just roots created with pure multiversal energy, sustained by a supreme god. How important can they be if they're protected by such immense power? Spider Rider. You just said it yourself, buddy. Julio. Dude, this is a complete. Julio couldn't finish, as his ring ended up hitting one of the roots. The ring generates a small glow, and causes two of the roots to become entangled with each other. Julio. Oh no, oh no, oh no, rushed face. Spider Rider pulls Julio away from the roots, and tries to separate them using his energy webs. Spider Rider's energy webs break, and the roots bind even more tightly together. Spider Rider. Okay, don't panic, we can fix this, we just need some time, and to do our best to keep this a secret. Julio. Hey, since technically the roots of Yggdrasil are universes, what would happen if this happened to two universes? Well. Spider Rider thought about it for a bit, but he certainly didn't know what to answer. Spider Rider. This is the first time two universes have merged on their own without any outside help. I have no idea how this might affect them. A mysterious, unidentified visitor came face to face with Barbara and Cassandra in one of the destroyed corridors of the Watchtower. Cassandra stood firm, her gaze fixed on that mysterious subject, her hand on the hilt of her katana, which was sheathed. Meanwhile, Barbara watched the mysterious masked man with clear curiosity. In a way, she could detect the fear and confusion that this mysterious subject felt. The mysterious subject would try to approach them, but at that moment, a loud noise would attract everyone's attention, and when they turned around, they would all see one of those creatures with its brain outside, looking at them like a predator looks at its prey. The creature lunges at them, but the mysterious subject unleashes a burst of solar energy from his hands, which melts the creature's skin and causes its exposed brain to explode. Cassandra would be amazed by such a feat, while Barbara smiled at the impressive amount of power possessed by the mysterious subject. Are you going to stay there or are you going to escape? Looking at Cassandra and Barbara. Barbara is amazed to hear the mysterious boy's voice, while Cassandra blushes upon hearing his voice. The creature begins to regenerate, and that alarms the three of them. The three escape from the place, and the mysterious boy closes the almost destroyed doors, leaving the creature locked inside. Barbara. Did you bring that thing with you from Earth? I don't remember. My mind is a bit blurry. Barbara. Perfect, that's very helpful, using sarcasm. The mysterious boy was confused by Barbara's attitude, but Cassandra signaled to him not to take it personally. Stephanie. She and Damien were walking through the corridors of the Watchtower. Stephanie. And what about that girl Mia Mizuguchi? Is she cute? Is she sweet? Is she a spoiler fan? Smirk. Damien. Don't start, Stephanie, you'd better not make this awkward. Stephanie. Hey, I'm not making it awkward, I'm giving life to a future ship with potential. Damien. And the awkwardness has already begun. You should seriously get a new hobby instead of trying to match people up in relationships. Stephanie. You offend me, you little ball of hate. Besides, just so you know, creating ships is what gives my life meaning. Damien. That explains a lot of things. Unamused. Stephanie. If you want to insult me, then say it to my face, you heartless little killer. Damien. Well, if you say so, you're a purple stain that's only good for. Damien couldn't finish, because at that moment, the Batgirls and the mysterious masked man arrived at the scene, and closed the door they had entered through with the help of the security system. Stephanie. Wow, girls, what's up, and who's your new super friend? He looks really cool in that suit. Soy. The masked man couldn't finish, as the door was destroyed, and the creature lunged at Barbara, causing the redhead to fall out of her wheelchair. Upon seeing this, Cassandra becomes enraged like never before and attacks the creature with considerable anger. Cassandra draws her katana and begins to attack the creature. The creature dodges Cassandra's slashing attacks, while its speed increases in a surprising way. The masked man helps Barbara sit in her wheelchair, while he watches in great amazement as Cassandra tries to cut the creature to pieces. The creature increases its speed on a large scale, but Cassandra was not far behind either. Cassandra begins to block every attack from the creature, while it moves at the speed of a sprinter. The creature transforms its hand into a sword, while Cassandra kicks the creature in the face, causing it to back away. Pieces of the creature fall to the ground, while the floor and walls are stained with its blood. Stephanie. Woo, now that's killing with style. Relieved face. Damien. Not bad. Open mouth smile. The masked man blushed slightly as he saw how Cassandra had completely controlled the situation, but his blush wouldn't be visible because of his mask. Cassandra removes her mask, and the masked man is surprised to see her scarred face. Barbara notices that the masked man had his eyes on Cassandra. Barbara. If her face surprises you, your brain will explode when you see the rest of her body. Grin. The masked man looks away, but Stephanie would realize what was really happening, or well, she just saw what she wanted to see. Stephanie. Mind. Damien. This girl is hopeless. Looking at Stephanie with disappointment. A few minutes later, Harper could be seen bandaged up to her ears, lying on the sofa in the Watchtower's break room as if she were half dead, while Violet massaged her back. Violet. What happened in Musudafu? Harper. Some fucking blonde son of a bitch attacked me for no reason, even though I was helping some kids out of some rubble. Blondes are trash. Artemis, Wendy, and Tara glare at Harper. Harper quickly tries to rectify his mistake. Harper. I'm talking about blonde guys. You girls are super cool. You guys are awesome. Grin. Thumbs up. The girls stop looking at Harper in a bad way, and simply go back to their own business. Harper. Phew, I managed to dodge the bullet. Meanwhile, Cassandra and the masked man placed the creature's remains in reinforced containers so that the creature would not be able to regenerate again. Connor approaches the masked man and Cassandra. Connor. Thanks for your help, but I think you'll also have to take responsibility for the damage you did to the Watchtower. Ah, of course, no problem. I'm truly sorry for everything that happened because of me. Connor. Hee hee, you're quite polite, I like that. By the way, what's your name? Oh, yes, my name. Well, I think it's Izuku. Yes, that's my name, Izuku. A few hours later, Izuku could be seen helping the League and the Outsiders repair the Watchtower. At that moment, Wendy and Leah approach him and Cassandra. Leah. Hey, Izuku, Wendy and I have a question for you. Izuku. Okay, you can ask whatever you want. Wendy. Is your suit some kind of unstable nanotechnology molecules? Izuku remains silent, unsure how to answer Wendy's question. Izuku. Well, to be honest, I don't know for sure. Leah. What do you mean you don't know? You have no idea what you're wearing. Izuku. Well, I woke up using this, and I don't really remember some things very well. Wendy. It sounds like you have amnesia. Izuku. Yes, that's quite likely. Upon hearing that, Cassandra would feel a little bad for Izuku. With Megan, she and Connor were talking privately about what had happened. Megan. Are you sure the boy who helped Barbara and Cassandra is a Kryptonian? Connor. I'm not entirely sure yet, but I think the symbol on his armor could be some kind of clue too. Megan. Honey, we can't say for sure yet. But maybe if we question him, we could find out more about him. And we could find out how he got that armor. Connor. Okay, if you say so. Con Harper. With Violet's help, she approaches Izuku so she can talk to him. Harper. Hey, new kid, glancing sideways at Izuku. I just wanted to let you know, your armor is super cool. Izuku. Oh, well, thank you. I don't really know how it works, but all I know about it for now is that I can fly and I have super strength. Violet. Basic Kryptonian abilities. Not bad. I bet you also have ice breath and heat vision. Harper. That would be super cool, but I seriously doubt you can do that if you don't have holes in your helmet. Izuku. Maybe I could make some modifications to it so I could use those abilities holding his helmet. Izuku tries to remove his helmet, but it wouldn't come off his suit. Violet. Let me help you, trying to help Izuku. Violet starts pulling Izuku, and tries to rip the helmet off his head. Izuku. Hey, you're going to rip my head off, confounded face. Harper grabs Violet by the hip and starts pulling. Cassandra grabs Izuku by the shoulders and starts pulling. Meanwhile, Leah and Wendy watched everything while trying not to laugh, while Tara recorded everything with her phone. Tara. This reminds me of when I was a little girl and my head got stuck in a bucket. Leah. Really, Tara. I was 4 years old, and I was getting to know the world, and Brian and Gregor were to blame for that happening. Wendy. I see. At that moment, Izuku's hands begin to generate a blinding glow, and a powerful beam of solar energy sends Violet and Harper flying far away. Tara. Wow, that was amazing. What kind of Kryptonian are you, buddy? Open mouth smile. Izuku. I have no idea, looking at his hands with some disbelief. Harper crawls like a zombie towards Izuku, while his bandaged body smokes from the strong attack he received. Harper. Bro, if you're going to be part of this team of misfit teens who were rejected by society, you better control your powers or you'll end up in Iron Heights by my own hand. Cassandra looked at Harper with complete disapproval of his words, while Izuku was somewhat nervous. Con Garfield. He and Victor were inspecting one of the dismembered parts of the creature that Cassandra had cut into pieces. Garfield. Cass really outdid herself this time, playing with one of the creature's eyes. Victor. Dude, leave that alone, it's super disgusting, looking at a blood sample from the creature under a microscope. Victor inspects the sample with extreme care using his cybernetic eye and the microscope, and he notices something quite interesting. Victor. That's strange, this blood sample is human DNA, but it looks as if it has been modified from its cells. Garfield. Do you want me to call Adam or Bumblebee to take a closer look? Victor. Perhaps not at the moment, this could perhaps be contagious to humans without genetic modifications or biotechnologies. Garfield. Okay, so what do you propose? Victor. Maintaining this as a sub-zero state, so that the muscles remain rigid and there are no unexpected surprises. Garfield. Okay, then I'll go find Leonard and Frost. A few minutes later, we are now in the Watchtower hangar, where Tara was using a lever to try to pull the helmet off Izuku's head. Tara. What on earth is your suit made of, a dwarf star? Already quite stressed by the whole situation, Izuku wouldn't understand what Tara meant by dwarf star, but he was certainly getting fed up with not being able to take off his helmet. Tara steps back, then lunges at Izuku and begins to angrily hit his helmet. Tara, why don't you break yourself? Giving one last blow, already quite tired, Tara throws the lever to the ground, then lies face down on the ground, quite tired. Izuku. Yo, Tara. Not a word, Izuku. Brian. I don't understand. The suit seems to be completely sealed and airtight, are you sure you don't remember how you put it on? Izuku. I already told you, I woke up with this on, and I don't remember anything at all. Harper. This isn't motivating. Putting some clothes on over her bandages, Izuku takes a seat in a chair and covers his helmet with his hands. At that moment, Izuku's hands begin to generate solar energy, and his helmet begins to heat up. Leslie. Hey, dude, your face is gonna melt if you keep doing that. Izuku looks up, and at that moment, his suit begins to change, and take on a new form. A layer of red sand is generated from his shoulders and back, the spikes on his helmet and suit disappear, and now his helmet has red eyes. Just remove the Mega Epic Super Energy Blaster and you're done. Everyone would be amazed, but Cassandra would be the most amazed. Izuku's helmet begins to deform, revealing his true face. Everyone is shocked to see Izuku's face. Izuku. Is something wrong? Do I look bad? Cassandra. Flushed. Stephanie. Okay, the damn guy is handsome. Harper. You said it. A few minutes later, Rip Hunter was scanning Izuku's armor in the Wave Rider's infirmary. Rip. Interesting. It seems the suit you're wearing is some kind of techno-organic creature, symbiotically bonded to you, living by instinct, and it chose you as its wearer. Upon hearing that, Izuku would become somewhat nervous. Izuku. And how do I get her to stop choosing me? Rip. It's not that easy. She has to decide to leave you. Izuku. Ella. Rip. Or L, however you choose to refer to L. Izuku. You know what? I prefer her, that way I don't get involved in things I'd rather not be a part of. With Violet, she was putting bandages and a special medical cream all over Harper's body so that she would recover faster. Harper. Where's our new friend? Brian. Mr. Hunter took him to the Wave Rider to do some scans of his suit, to find out what it's made of and how it works. Harper. I'm really curious to know how that fancy pajama set works. Stephanie. I bet someone's going to make a contingency plan in case things get out of control, glancing sideways at Cassandra. Cassandra simply looks away, but she did have the idea of contingency plans in mind. At that moment, Clark, Bruce, and Diana approach the young heroes. Bruce. Cassandra, I'm glad you decided to come, I'm sorry it wasn't as you expected. Cassandra smiles at her father and simply signals to him not to worry. Clark. Excuse me, guys. Connor said he wanted to introduce me to someone. Do you know where Connor and Megan are? Tara. I think they're on the bridge, maybe they're investigating what's happening exactly in that city in Japan. Diana. Yes, I certainly find what's happening in Musudafu quite suspicious. Perhaps we should investigate what's going on in that city more closely. Bruce. I already have someone taking care of that. Stephanie. Really? And Musudafu. A man could be seen watching over the now desolate battlefield. The figure emerges from the shadows and stands near the edge of the building's rooftop, revealing his true appearance. Knuckleduster. This gives me a bad feeling. Knuckleduster would see as the students of Class 1A of the UA Hero Academy helped some civilians get out from under the rubble. Knuckleduster thinking that explosive idiot attacked Harper for doing the same thing they're doing right now. Without a doubt, Musudafu's heroism system is beyond rotten. Knuckleduster moves away from the edge of the rooftop and takes out his phone. Knuckleduster begins to write a message to Bruce. Knuckleduster. Everything's fine here. Some young UA students are helping some civilians. I'll keep an eye on them in case anything strange happens. Sends the message. Bruce. Thumbs up. At the Watchtower, Izuku could be seen talking to Cassandra, while they were watched from afar by some of Cassandra's friends. Izuku. So, you can't talk. Cassandra looks away, somewhat uncomfortably. Izuku. I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable, it wasn't my intention. Cassandra signals to Izuku not to worry. Izuku would not understand that sign at all. Meanwhile, Stephanie was brainstorming thousands of plans in her head so that Izuku and Cassandra could have an amazing date. Stephanie. They're so cute together. Tara. Don't exaggerate. They've only known each other for about an hour. Stephanie. Yes, but I've never seen Cass so happy to interact with someone who isn't part of the Bat family. Harper. Face with raised eyebrow beer. Stephanie. Seriously, just look at them. They're super cute. Grin. Everyone is looking at the new couple of friends. And they'll notice something. Cassandra. Smiling face. Leah. How lovely, she's smiling. Stephanie. Exactly, Cass almost never smiles. She's only done it a few times with the Bat family. Jamie. You're exaggerating. Kaji says. Stephanie Brown may have a point, Jamie. Jamie. And since when do you choose a side? Kaji says. I'm not choosing sides. I'm just stating the obvious. Cassandra Cain and this kid Izuku might complement each other well. Jamie. Do you really believe that? Kaji says. It's pretty obvious my calculations never fail. Also, maybe you could learn something from them to improve your relationship with Tracy 13. Jamie. Okay, you're going too far, Kaji. As Jamie and Kaji continued arguing, everyone watched them with some discomfort. Tracy. I'm never going to get used to this. Tara. In any case, what did you see in Jamie? Tracy. Jamie is really cool and nice. And Kaji is pretty friendly, we're like best friends. Harper. Summary. Trio. With Izuku, he and Cassandra were testing the suit to find out what else it could do. Cassandra and Izuku bumped fists, and at that moment, a part of Izuku's suit attaches to Cassandra's arm. Izuku got a little scared. Meanwhile, Cassandra seemed somewhat happy. Cassandra closes her eyes and begins to imagine something in her mind. Everyone approaches the pair of friends, and they would see how Cassandra begins to shape Izuku's armor's nanotechnology with just her mind. Tara. Wow, Stephanie. This just got interesting. Cassandra combines nanotechnology in the palm of her hand. A small ship forms in her hand, while the lower part of the ship connects to small rows of nanotechnology on Cassandra's hand. Garfield. Interesting. Looks like someone has a lot of hidden creativity in their hard head. Cassandra. Angry. Garfield. I swear it was a compliment. I didn't insult you. Cassandra. Face with rolling eyes. Izuku. He. Hey Cass, you're quite interesting. Grin. Cassandra blushes slightly, and the mini-ship begins to change its appearance, until it becomes a puddle of white liquid on the ground. Garfield. Anyone got a mop? Leslie. I'm not touching that thing. Wendy. Screw you, I won't do it. The puddle reverts to its nanotechnology form, and joins the nanotechnology that was in Cassandra's arm. Cassandra touches Izuku's shoulder, and the nanotechnology merges once again with Izuku's suit. Tara. Well, I guess we have our own Superboy. Meanwhile, Connor, Megan, and the Trinity watched Izuku and his friends from afar. Clark. Wow, Izuku is amazing. Open mouth smile. Bruce. Diana. Is Daddy Bad jealous? Smirk. Bruce simply looks away. Megan. With proper training, Izuku will surely master his armor perfectly. Connor. You know, if you want, I can take care of your training. Clark. That would be a great help, Connor. The next day, Izuku and Cassandra were training in a training area of the Hall of Justice. Izuku fires beams of solar energy from his hands, but Cassandra manages to dodge them with extreme precision. Izuku is more than amazed by Cassandra's great fighting skills. Izuku, thinking, it's amazing, open mouth smile. Cassandra throws some shuriken at Izuku, but he manages to dodge them with extreme precision. Cassandra takes advantage of the distraction and lunges at Izuku with her katana, ending up right on top of him. Meanwhile, Tara and the others watched their progress in the monitoring room. Harper. Am I the only one who thinks Cassandra is enjoying this? Tara. You're not the only one. Wendy. It's like a puppy with a new toy. Stephanie. A little dog that, if it wanted, could rip the skin off your face with its lips. Leah. Can he really do that? Stephanie. They have no idea, and things get much worse if Cass is angry and hungry. Stephanie's memory. End of Stephanie's memory. Stephanie. Since then, Bruce forbids Cassandra from going on any mission without some food in her utility belt. In case she gets hungry and angry. Tara. Sounds like Batman has his favorites. Damien. You have no idea. Unamused. With Izuku. Her red sand cape sends Cass flying, but she uses clawed gauntlets to grab onto the ceiling. Izuku activates his helmet, and his vision changes to a reddish color, and he scans the entire place. Izuku uses his red sand cloak like a whip, and tries to knock Cassandra down. Cassandra dodges Izuku's attacks, while throwing batarangs at him. Izuku. Trying to distract me won't work twice, Cass. I've already learned how your attack and defense strategy works. Cassandra. Face with rolling eyes. Cassandra drops down, and dives towards Izuku. Izuku is surprised by what Cassandra did, but he can't react in time, as Cassandra delivers a powerful punch to his face, or more specifically, to his helmet. Izuku falls to the ground, and Cassandra is on top of him again. With the others. Tara. Well, now we know who likes being on top. Brian. Tara. surprised by his sister's comment. Tara, hey, it's not my fault Cassandra can't control herself. Besides, she's always on top of Izuku. Stephanie. Okay, I think Tara is right, face with hand over mouth. Tara. I always have it, girl. With the Trinity, Bruce was trying to find any clues about Izuku's past. Meanwhile, Clark and Diana were talking a little ways away from Bruce so as not to disturb him. Clark. I wonder if Izuku's suit is what gives him Kryptonian abilities, although I would actually like it a little if he were a Kryptonian. It would be nice to have someone on the team from the same planet as me. Diana. Clark, it's not good to get your hopes up too much. Maybe Izuku, like Connor, is some kind of genetic experiment. Clark. Yes, maybe you're right. At that moment, Bruce stood up, and it was clear that he was quite frustrated. Clark. Are you all right, Bruce? Bruce. It's pretty clear that it isn't. Diana. I guess you didn't manage to find anything about Izuku. Bruce. There is no record of him whatsoever. I searched the global DNA database, and there is no record of him. Clark. Perhaps someone destroyed all existence about him. Bruce. It's a pretty strong possibility. A few minutes later, Bruce was talking to Rick Flag on the phone. Rick. Why are you interested in the Cadmus project files? Bruce. It's part of the job, Colonel. But I assure you, this is for a good cause. Rick. You'd better be. Things haven't been great here since Waller was removed from her position. Bruce. You'd better save yourself the story and find what I need. A few minutes later, Rick. Hey, there's nothing suspicious about it. All the files on Project Cadmus are complete and nothing is missing. What you're looking for is probably in the old Project Cadmus facilities. Bruce. Maybe you're right. Rick. Although there's also a possibility that some of the former scientists responsible for creating the Genomorphs might be involved in whatever it is I'm investigating. Upon hearing that, Bruce certainly felt that Flag was right. With Izuku, he was now training with Connor, while Cassandra watched them sitting on the ground, with her katana by her side. Connor hits the ground, and Izuku is sent flying by the force of the shockwave. Izuku quickly stands up and launches bursts of solar energy from his hand. Connor uses his icy breath, and Izuku's solar energy is transformed into mist. Izuku activates his helmet, and activates it in infrared vision. The only person Izuku could see was Cassandra, while Connor remained hidden using his enhanced senses. The red eyes of Izuku's helmet begin to glow, and his eye beams shoot out towards where Connor was hiding. Connor manages to withstand Izuku's attack, but his black shirt with a red S would not have the same luck as him. Izuku covers his eyes with his hands, while trying to deactivate his powers. Izuku. Connor, I'm really sorry about that while still keeping his eyes covered. Cassandra approaches Izuku, trying to help him as best she can. Connor. You don't need to apologize, after all we're training, but next time try not to damage my shirts. Izuku nods, as he removes his hands from his eyes. Izuku's eyes return to normal, and the first thing he sees is Cassandra smiling at him. Izuku blushes deeply, while trying to maintain his composure. On the other hand, Cassandra found Izuku's reaction endearing, and smiled happily at the green-haired boy. A few weeks later, Garfield was giving Izuku a tour of the Outsider's Tower. Izuku. This place is really big. Garfield. Yes, it's true the size is a bit exaggerated, but luckily, we all have too much stuff to fill the place. For example, Harper has a gun gallery. Izuku. That sounds cool. Garfield. Yes, except the League members forbade him from using them. And they told him they're only for last resort. Izuku. I see, I guess Harper didn't react very well. Garfield. He tried to hit Wonder Woman, and it didn't go so well for him, to say the least. Izuku. I see. With Cassandra, she and Stephanie were at the Gotham Clock Tower. Cassandra was reading some children's books to improve her reading skills and learn to speak as she went. And while Cassandra was doing her own thing, Stephanie was having a serious conversation with Barbara. Cassandra looks up for a moment, and only sees Barbara scolding Stephanie. Cassandra. Face exhaling. Barbara moves away from Stephanie and approaches Cassandra. Barbara. I see you've become a bit more active with your reading lately, Cass. Is there a particular reason for that? Cassandra looks away slightly, but Barbara would notice that Cassandra had a slight blush on her cheeks. Barbara smiles at Cassandra with a knowing smile, and that would make Cassandra even more nervous. Cassandra saws her book and covers her head with the hood of her suit. Barbara stroked Cassandra's head, while a motherly smile was on her face. Stephanie approaches Cassandra and places her arm around her friend's neck. Stephanie. Come on, Cass. Tell Babs the truth. Cassandra resigns herself, and begins to draw on some sheets of paper. Barbara and Stephanie would be confused at first, but the results of the drawing surprised them both. Stephanie. Why does Izuku look so great and yours looks awful? Cassandra. Angry. Stephanie. Oh, sorry. Cold sweat smile. Barbara begins to think and connect the dots, and she already has a clear idea of what Cassandra meant. Barbara. Ooh, I see what's going on. You have feelings for the new team member, but just out of curiosity, do you feel friendship and camaraderie, or do you feel love for him? Cassandra blushes slightly and shakes her head. Barbara. Don't you know? Cassandra shakes her head again. Barbara. I see. Well, love is a feeling that lives in everyone. Sometimes it can be something wonderful and magnificent, but other times it can become obsession and madness. Stephanie. The most common example, Harley Quinn. Cassandra looked Stephanie in the eye with a look that said, do you think I'm like Harley Quinn? Stephanie. Deadpan face. Stephanie. Well, getting back to the important stuff, probably because you haven't been friends for very long, your mind is probably starting to work differently around Izuku. You've been around other men before, but after being saved by Izuku, you've probably started to see him in a new light. Stephanie. Wow, you really know a lot about love, Babs. Barbara. You could say I'm an expert on the subject. Relieved face. Stephanie. And if you're such an expert, do you teach classes about love? Barbara. Face with raised eyebrow. Stephanie. I've had a really bad run with men lately. Barbara. You don't say. Does Tim have something to do with it? Stephanie. It's all related. With Izuku. He was now in his room in the Outsider's Tower. Izuku would see his hands, which were covered by his armor from the palms down, leaving only his fingers exposed. Izuku tries to concentrate, but all he manages to do is coat his hands with solar energy. Izuku. Okay, maybe I need professional help with this. A few minutes later, Izuku and Megan were in the tower's infirmary. Megan. Are you still sure you want to do this? Izuku. My suit is supposed to be alive, or something like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure about this. Megan. Okay, if you're sure. Megan activates her powers, and her eyes turn a bright green. Izuku's suit is enveloped in green energy, and Izuku begins to feel his suit start to burn. Megan delves into the mind of the techno-organic being, and would see quite a few things that were not entirely clear. I would see images of other places, images of machines, and of a different world. Megan would be perplexed, and she would be very confused. Megan. I have no idea what this means. Deactivating her powers. The glow on Izuku's suit turns off. Izuku would see Megan, and he would see that the Martian was very confused. Megan. I can only see images of a society similar to Krypton's, but at the same time very different. It's clear that your suit comes from that place, but I have no idea what that place is. Izuku lowers his head, somewhat disappointed. Megan approaches him and sits down next to him. Izuku. I thought it would be a good idea. Megan. And it was. We know where it came from. Now we just need to find out what that place is. And don't worry, I promise we'll help you. Izuku smiles at Megan, and hugs her. Megan hugs Izuku, and smiles happily for the green-haired boy. With Cassandra. Stephanie. Okay, let's see how well you and Izuku complement each other to see what you'd be like as a couple. Looking at Cassandra. Barbara was drinking some tea, while Cassandra sat next to her on the floor. Stephanie. They're both attractive, there's no denying that. Cassandra nods her head. Stephanie. They're both good at fighting, that much was clear. Barbara. That's true, they're both very good at fighting. Stephanie. And above all, they are both kind-hearted, always looking to help others without expecting anything in return, and passionate about doing good. And to top it all off, they surely share the same pain from a tragic past. Cassandra and Barbara roll their eyes and try not to question Stephanie's last statement. A few days later, we are located in Metropolis. The outsiders were tasked with intercepting and capturing a group of criminal metahumans from Central City. Izuku, Harper, Terra, and Violet were in the sewers, waiting for the right moment to begin the mission. Izuku activates his helmet, while the girls put on oxygen masks. Harper. Damn, the filters on my mask aren't working. Izuku. Then hold your breath. Izuku activates his infrared vision, and he sees 3 people starting to leave a bank with many bags of money. Izuku. And there they go. I think we can begin. Terra. Okay, showtime. Terra closes her eyes, and everything begins to shake. With the thieves, the 3 criminals get into a black van, and one of them takes the driver's seat and starts the engine. Cracks begin to appear in the road, and everything begins to shake. The criminals didn't know what was happening, but at that moment, a powerful explosion would erupt from the ground, sending them flying far away. The criminals get out of the car with the bags of money, and they would see Izuku and his team approaching them. Harper draws his weapons and points them at the criminals. One of the thieves steps forward, and his entire skin is covered in diamond. Violet. Wow, that's amazing, hushed face. The Diamond Man lunges at Harper, while she begins shooting at him with special bullets. Violet tries to use her now red hair to capture the Diamond Man. But another criminal throws spikes protruding from his body at Violet. Izuku uses his heat vision to disintegrate the spikes, while Terra levitates several rocks to use as shields. The Diamond Man manages to land a punch on Harper's face, causing Harper to feel a little dizzy and stumble back from the impact of the blow. Harper regains his bearings and manages to reload his weapons in time. The Diamond Man lunges at Harper, but she manages to shoot him in the mouth, causing his left cheek to be completely shattered. Human flesh and pieces of diamond fall to the ground, and the Diamond Man backs away. Harper. You may be unbreakable on the outside, but you're not on the inside. The Diamond Man covers his wound with his hand, and tries to attack Harper again. Harper manages to dodge several of the Diamond Man's attacks, then stabs one of his eyes with one of the knives he carried in his bulletproof vest. The Diamond Man backs away, the knife still lodged in his eye, and Harper seizes the opportunity to shove a taser into the Diamond Man's mouth, knocking him unconscious with the powerful electric shock. With Izuku, the man with thorns attacks Izuku with his sharp weapons, but Izuku's suit manages to withstand his enemy's projectiles. Terra pulls a handful of rocks from the back pocket of her suit and hurls them at the man with the spikes like lethal projectiles. The man with the spikes falls to the ground unconscious, and quite injured by the attack of the Terra rocks. Izuku and the girls approach the last criminal, ready to fight. The man holds one of the van's cables, and his body begins to be covered in electricity. Harper. Is it some kind of energy-conducting metahuman? Izuku. With everything I've seen these past few days, I think maybe I could be one. The metahuman rushes towards them at full speed, and hits Violet in the face, instantly electrocuting her in the process. Violet falls to the ground while healing herself using her powers. Harper approaches Violet to help her, while Izuku and Terra get into fighting stances ready to attack. Izuku quickly uses his red sand cloak like a whip, and lashes out at the electric metahuman. The electricity metahuman quickly dodges Izuku's layer of red sand, then attempts to electrocute Terra. Terra quickly covers her arms with rocks from her belt, then uses them like rock gloves to try and hit the electricity metahuman. The metahuman dodges all the blows, but Terra anticipates the electric metahuman's final move and manages to land a powerful punch to his face, stunning him. The electric metahuman backs away, trying to keep his eyes on Terra and fire a beam at her. The metahuman fires his attack, but Izuku intervenes and absorbs all the electrical energy with his suit. Sun. Outfit overloaded to 100% with a female voice. Izuku. Can you talk? Incredulous and surprised. Sol. That's right, and by the way, I don't like it when you speak badly of me, and when you confuse my gender. Izuku. Hey, we'll talk about this later, first we need to take down this pirate imitation of Mr. Jefferson. Sol. Haha, good thinking, Izuku open mouth smile. Izuku. You literally sound like a fused version of Harper and Stephanie. Izuku fires his eye beams, while the electric metahuman fires a powerful energy beam from his hands. Both attacks collided with each other, while the girls watched in amazement at the great power they both possessed. Izuku's hands ignite with solar energy, and he quickly fires it at his enemy. Izuku's attacks hit the electric metahuman directly, and he falls to the ground quite tired. Harper and Violet approach Izuku and Terra. Harper. Bro, that was awesome. Izuku. I think I know how to do this superhero thing now. Violet activates her red aura, and captures criminal metahumans in her force fields. Violet. Should we call the police or Argus? Harper. I don't know, babe. Bruce. He was in the Batcave, waiting for Cassandra for their daily training. At that moment, Barbara comes down in the elevator and approaches Bruce. Bruce. Where is Cassandra? She's taking quite a while. Barbara. She's on her own personal mission. Barbara smiled at Bruce, while the Gotham vigilante looked somewhat confused. With Cassandra, she was in her room, looking for a somewhat normal outfit so she wouldn't look like the same weird girl with learning and communication problems, who could kill anyone in 1,000 different ways. At that moment, two people enter his room without permission. Mia. Hi, Cass. What are you doing? Cassandra looks away, slightly flushed and nervous. Mia is confused, and Damien simply doesn't care. Mia. Is it just me, or is he acting really weird? Damien. I don't notice it. Damien would see that on Cassandra's bed there was a notebook with words written in Stephanie's handwriting. Damien. Face with raised eyebrow. Damien takes the notebook and begins to read. After reading a short paragraph, he looks away at Cassandra. Damien. You've got to be kidding me. Cassandra. Face with cold sweat. Damien. If you want to go on a date, at least ask for help from someone who isn't a pervert and who didn't break up with that idiot Drake. Mia. Ouch, that hurt even me. Cassandra bites her lip and tries to think of something. Cassandra. But, Mia. Can you talk? This is the first time I've heard you speak. I have to record this, fearful. Mia takes out her phone and opens the voice recorder app. Mia. Please tell me something, your voice is very pretty. Cassandra. Hello. Mia. How cute. Open mouth smile. Damien. Deadpan face. With Izuku. He was talking to Saul, in order to learn more about both of their pasts. Izuku. Are you like some kind of upgraded version of Kajida? Saul. I am not some kind of techno-organic creature created by the Reach. I am a techno-organic being with my own consciousness capable of thinking for myself and with the possibility of choosing my own host. Izuku. So you chose me and rebooted my brain or something? Saul. Actually, some of my thoughts were erased. But I do remember crashing to Earth, and being found by a group of people in strange outfits. One had some kind of device with speakers around his neck, another had bandages around his neck like a scarf, and another was dressed in a vulgar outfit and had the face of a pervert and a rapist. Izuku. That last one was quite specific. Saul. I have a photographic memory, Izuku. Izuku. Could you draw a self-portrait of what you look like? Left. Okay. Saul activates the suit's helmet, and begins to generate holographic red images with the help of the helmet's red lenses. Izuku. They do have a peculiar appearance. Saul. I'm surprised you think that after everything you've seen. Izuku. I guess you're right. At that moment, Izuku hears some noises outside his room. Izuku leaves his room and sees Brian and Terra fighting. Surprisingly, Terra is winning. Harper. Hit her with the chair. Throws a chair at Terra. Terra grabs the chair and hits Brian in the face with it. Izuku was beyond confused, but Violet approached him with Brian's phone in her hands. Izuku. I don't understand anything. Violet. Perhaps if you saw this everything would become clearer, handing Brian's phone to Izuku. Izuku takes Brian's phone, and is a little surprised to see the screenshot it had. Izuku. Isn't she, Mary, Harper? The crazy Mary Marvel, dude. The one who almost destroyed half of Philadelphia. Izuku. Okay, that doesn't sound quite right. Brian. What do you know? You don't have a girlfriend, while Terra puts him in a wrestling hold. Hey, that hurts. Terra. That's the idea. You shouldn't be dating a power-hungry psychopath with anger management issues. Harper. Ha ha ha, it's obvious that Terra knows Mary very well. Brian's words hurt Izuku a little in terms of his feelings, but he tries to hide his pain. Violet notices that, and tries to help her friend. Violet places her hand on her friend's shoulder, but at that moment, everyone hears the noise of the elevator. Harper goes to see who it was, but when he sees the new visitor to the Outsiders' tower, he is quite surprised. Harper. Wow. Open mouth smile. Izuku goes to see why Harper screamed, but when he sees what it was about, he is quite surprised. Standing in front of him and Harper was Cassandra, sporting a pretty amazing new outfit. Cassandra. Hello. Izuku trying to speak properly. Izuku was somewhat flushed, but at the same time, he felt his heart beating quite fast. Son. Your body temperature is rising at an alarmingly rapid rate, and your heart is pumping at an abnormal level, are you okay? Izuku. Turn off your sound system and don't talk, trying to stay calm. Saul. Wow, you're rude. Cassandra approaches Izuku, while she has a small blush on her cheeks. Cassandra. What do you think? Do I look fine? Trying to speak properly. Izuku didn't know what to say, he was completely astonished by Cassandra's outfit. Harper. Why are you carrying a mini Stephanie in your pants? Cassandra. Face with cold sweat. Izuku. I think this is the first time I've heard you speak. Harper. Yeah, you sound cool, although I think my bro likes listening to you talk more. Izuku and Cassandra blush deeply, and look away from each other. Harper. Oh my god, they're so cute. Why aren't they dating? Izuku. WH, what are you talking about, Harper? Very flushed. Cassandra. Confounded face. At that moment, Brian is sent flying straight towards them by a blow from Terra. Brian bumps into Izuku, causing the green-haired boy to trip and fall on top of Cassandra. Cassandra and Izuku fall to the ground, and almost end up kissing. Izuku. I'm sorry, Cass. Cassandra. No, there is a problem, red with embarrassment and for something else. Harper. Open mouth smile selfie. A few hours later, Izuku and Cassandra were on a balcony in the Outsiders' tower. Both of them had clear and noticeable nervous expressions. Meanwhile, their friends watched them both from afar, hidden behind a wall. Violet. Are we doing something wrong? Harper. Not at all. Terra. I don't know about you, but I feel like a pervert. Stephanie. You'll get used to it appearing out of nowhere. Harper. Where the hell did she come from? Startled by Stephanie's sudden appearance. Stephanie. The mini-me Cass carries in her pants has a built-in tracker. It was Bruce's idea in case Cass was kidnapped. Harper. What a great idea, and terrifying at the same time. Back with Izuku and Cass. They both continued talking, or rather, trying to have a conversation, which was a little difficult for Cass to keep up with and pronounce the words properly. Izuku. Your determination is impressive and passionate. With a smile. Cassandra blushes slightly, but tries to maintain her composure. Cass. Did you manage to discover anything about your past? Trying to speak properly. Izuku. Not at the moment, but my suit managed to create images of possible culprits for what happened to me. Cass. Maybe the Batcomputer could help. Trying to speak properly. Izuku. That's a good idea. With a smile. With the others. Stephanie. Why aren't they kissing? Cass. Stick your tongue in his mouth. Angry. Terra. You urgently need another boyfriend, Steph. Stephanie. Obviously not. I am completely independent of love now, I don't need it anymore. Harper. Clearly not. Stephanie. Excuse me, Harper. So how did you and Tim break up? You two made a cute couple. Stephanie. One word. Bernard in a serious and angry tone. Terra. Ooh. Tim likes rifles, good for him, trying not to burst out laughing. Stephanie glares at Terra and electrocutes her in the head with Harper's taser. Terra falls to the ground dazed, and drools from the strong electric shock she received in her brain. Harper. You idiot, you left her worse than she already was. Stephanie. Don't worry, Terra is a metahuman and was part of the League of Shadows, she'll be fine in a few minutes. A few minutes later, the six of them were in the Batcave, and Terra was almost fine, only her depth perception was somewhat altered. Terra. I swear if I hid myself on a stalactite again, I'm going to bury you all alive underground. Violet. Don't worry, Terra, I promise you'll be better in a few minutes. Terra simply takes a seat in a chair, and just as a precaution, puts on a seatbelt. Terra. This is the third worst day of my life, very annoyed. Cassandra approaches the Batcomputer. Cass. Izuku, could you? Izuku. Sure. So, do your thing. Son. Copied. Saul activates the armor's mask, and it creates the images of the mysterious people. Harper fixes his gaze on the image of Midnight. Harper. Her outfit looks strange. I even feel embarrassed for her looking at Midnight. Terra. Why don't you just stop watching her? Harper. That's what I'm trying to do, but my eyes aren't cooperating. Looking intently at Midnight. Stephanie. And then they say I'm the pervert. Terra. You still are. Cassandra enters the images into the global database, and it begins searching for the location of those people. Batty computer. Subjects not found in the database. Location not found. Cass. That's strange. Izuku. Hey, you managed to pronounce it right this time. Cass. Smile. Stephanie steps forward. Stephanie. Well, there must be a mistake. You don't usually dodge the Batcomputer like that. Violet. So what do we do? Stephanie. We will use the Watchtower to locate these people. A few minutes later, the group was at the Watchtower. Saul enters the images into the Watchtower database, and it begins to track these mysterious people. Stephanie. Now that I think about it, these guys have Japanese features. Could they be from somewhere in Japan? Izuku. Maybe. Stephanie. Yes, maybe that's it. Hey, you have a Japanese face, maybe you're from Japan too. Now Izuku would be somewhat convinced by what Stephanie said. Izuku. Now that you mention it, it's quite likely. Harper. I think if this doesn't work, we'll have to go straight to Japan to find out what's going on. Violet. That would be so much fun, I'd love to visit Japan. Terra. It doesn't sound so bad, actually. I wonder if there are metahumans in Japan too. Stephanie. In any case, there would be Kamen Rider or Super Sentai, or whatever they're called. Cass. Shuna de difficile de pro pronuncer trying to speak correctly. Stephanie. Don't worry, it's not that complicated. At that moment, the Watchtower's composure begins to fail, and its holographic monitors change to a deep red. Harper. But what the hell is going on? Violet. I don't know. The Watchtower monitors now display what appears to be a map. Stephanie. Well, this is something, I guess. Izuku. Saul, make a 3D replica of this map, and then save it in your database. Son. Understood. Saul obeys Izuku, and creates a copy of the map in a 3D model and stores it in her database. Stephanie. Okay, now we just need to know the geographical location of that place, and use a bioship or a boon tube to get there. Harper approaches the control panel and tries to locate a boon tube there. Harper. There are no boon tubes in that area, and the nearest one is too far away. I think our best option is to use the bioship or the baby. Izuku. Baby. Terra. It's like the breeding of a bioship, since being a techno-organic being, the bioship is capable of having offspring. Saul. If you're interested, I can download information about the bioship species into my database. Izuku. It's better to do it later, when we're out of this huge mess. Saul. Whatever you want, but the truth is I am interested in learning about the Martian species and their culture and creatures. Violet. I agree with Saul, I also want to learn about Miss Megan's species. Saul. Can you hear me? Izuku. This day is getting weirder and weirder. Elsewhere. We are in Japan, more specifically, in a city known as Musudafu. The same city where Dick and his team went to help stop those creatures with their brains on the outside. It was night, and people were fleeing in terror from an unknown danger. A special forces team arrives at the scene, and they see something that confuses them quite a bit. In front of them stood a person who looked like a knight in black armor with red and gold features. That knight wielded a sword and shield. But the most peculiar thing of all was that his heart was exposed, and chains blocked access to it. The knight unleashes a powerful slash from his sword, instantly killing the officers and soldiers. At that moment, a group of people arrive at the scene and try to stop the gentleman. The knight creates a gigantic force field with his shield, preventing the subjects from approaching him. The knight plunges his sword into the ground, creating a gigantic crack in the ground. The knight jumps into the crack in the ground, and it instantly closes and disappears. The force field disappears, and everyone in the place is confused and perplexed by what happened. The next day, we find ourselves at the Javelin, where the outsiders were piloting the Justice League's ship to go straight to Musudafu. Brian. And what exactly is the plan when we get to that city? Terra. We have to find these 3 targets showing holographic images of the sun on the Javelin's screens. Garfield. We need to keep a low profile when we arrive, we'll have to wear our civilian clothes. Violet. This will be so much fun, it will be like we are spices on a secret mission. Harper. That's basically what we are right now. Izuku. The monitors say we'll be descending in 8 minutes. Garfield. All right team, time to change. Everyone goes into some changing rooms, but Wendy ends up going into the one that was already occupied by Leah. Leah. Hey, can't you see it's busy? Wendy. Just ignore me. Putting on her signature hat. A few minutes later, the Javelin lands outside Musudafu on a mountaintop in a forest. Everyone exits the ship, and Cassandra couldn't help but keep her eyes on Izuku's outfit. Harper. Bro, that looks good on you. Stephanie. Is Saul under those clothes? Izuku. Actually, Saul is the clothing. I don't know exactly how my suit works yet, but I was able to make its nanotechnology adapt to a layer of moldable fabric. Victor. Impressive. Saul. That robot boy really knows about genius. Garfield. Okay, team, the praise can wait, first we need to find those people. A few minutes later, the outsiders were walking through the streets of Musudafu, and they were certainly somewhat incredulous about its population. There were people with a somewhat peculiar and unusual appearance. Leah. I've never seen so many metahumans in one place in my entire life. Terra. Hey, I'm not really sure if all of them are metahumans. Brian. Yes, to be honest, I feel like a freak here. Izuku. Maybe you feel that way. For some reason, these streets seem familiar. Stephanie. Okay, that's already a solid clue about your past. Izuku. You think so? Stephanie. Obviously. Cassandra looks at an advertising billboard and is surprised by what she sees. Cassandra takes Izuku's shoulder and pulls him towards her. Izuku. Cass, what's wrong? Cassandra points towards the billboard, and Izuku is surprised to see it. Everyone turns their gaze towards the billboard, and they are also surprised. Izuku. That's me, Bart. You don't look so great there. Eduardo. Yes, to be honest, you look quite strange in that picture. Stephanie. Ha 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 ha, you really are clear proof of the before and after. Cassandra would look at Stephanie with an angry face. At that moment, Harper notices a familiar face among those in that advertisement. Harper. That's the blonde guy with red eyes who almost killed me last time. Quite annoyed. Garfield. Okay, I think I have an idea of where we should go right now. Wendy. As long as it's not a school, it's fine. A few minutes later, Wendy. Garfield, you son of a. Leah covers her mouth so she can't keep talking. Brian. Comparing this to the Youth Center for Metahumans, it seems much less strange to me now. Garfield. Enough talk, let's go in. Everyone enters the UA facilities, but Izuku would feel a strange sensation of having already been in that place. Izuku puts on his hood and tries to go unnoticed. Seeing this, Cassandra couldn't help but feel bad for him, and decided to take his hand. Izuku is surprised by Cassandra's action, but decides not to say anything, and simply decides to let everything take its course. At that moment, the outsiders end up running into Class 1A. Upon seeing Bakugo, Harper couldn't help but become incredibly enraged and lunge at the gunpowder brain. Harper knocks Bakugo down and begins to choke him. Harper. You're a piece of shit. You're a son of a bitch. Choking Bakugo. Bakugo tries to use his explosions, but he begins to suffer from a lack of oxygen. Class 1A and the outsiders separate them, and Bakugo begins to catch his breath. Momo. Who are you? Garfield. I'm sorry about that. I'm Beast Boy, the leader of the outsiders. Iida. You are too young to be heroes, you should be in a classroom learning how to be honorable heroes and act according to the law. The outsiders would be somewhat confused upon hearing that. Leslie. Do these guys think you have to study to be a hero? Harper. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. being held by Kajida's claws. Mina. Are they vigilantes or unofficial heroes? Violet. Excuse me, but I didn't understand your question. Bakugo. It's clear you're as stupid as your ridiculous outfit. Violet would be sad, and Harper would be filled with rage. Harper breaks free from Kajida's grip and launches himself at Bakugo again. Bakugo tries to throw an explosion at Harper, but she manages to knock him down in time, and begins to brutally beat him. Izuku tries to stop Harper, but she accidentally elbows him in the face, causing her hood to stop concealing her true identity. Class 1A couldn't believe their eyes when they saw Izuku. Everyone was surprised and incredulous, but the one who was most astonished was a girl with hazel hair. Izuku. I did feel that a little. Harper. Sorry. Punching Bakugo in the face. Uraraka quickly approaches Izuku and hugs him very tightly. Uraraka. Deku. Hugging him with tears in her eyes. Izuku didn't understand what was happening at that moment. Izuku. Hi, I think, patting Uraraka on the head. Kajida. Jamie, I'm detecting clear hostility in the surrounding area. We must leave now. Jamie. Are you sure? Kajida. Safety is irrelevant, we must leave. Now. Jamie whispers in Garfield's ear about what Kajida told him, and Garfield manages to understand. Garfield. Team, we're leaving. Brian and Tara restrain Harper to prevent her from continuing to punch Bakugo in the face. Bakugo quickly stands up, and spits out some blood and a tooth. Bakugo. Die. Launches a powerful explosion. The explosion nearly hit Harper and her friends, but Izuku quickly intervened. Uraraka. Deku. Bastante assistada. Cassandra tried to stop Izuku, but it was too late. Everyone thought Izuku had died, but when the smoke cleared, everyone was speechless. The students in Class 1A were speechless at what had just happened. Harper. They're so dead, idiots, with a smile on his face. At that moment, the UA professors arrive at the scene. Everyone who saw Izuku would be speechless. All Might. Young Midoriya. Still in shock, Izuku turns around and looks at All Might with his eyes generating contained red energy. Izuku. Who are you? Saul. For some reason, these people seem strangely familiar to me. Aizawa would be the first to act, and would try to capture the outsiders with his bandages. In a swift movement, Brian grabs Aizawa's bandages and incinerates them with his powers. Aizawa quickly removes his bandages before the fire reaches his neck. The students and teachers were on guard, while the outsiders thought of a way to escape without causing much damage. Tara. I guess we still have a lot to learn about keeping a low profile. Garfield. I suppose so. In Metropolis, Clark could be seen talking on the phone with his childhood friend Lana Lang. Lana. Lois told me that a new Superboy appeared. Clark. Well, we don't have anything confirmed yet, but we believe that his suit is what gives him his powers. Lana. Is there a chance he could become a cyborg Superman? Clark. Lana, don't start. Lana. Ha 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 ha, relax, I'm just kidding. You know, I could make some modifications to this Izuku guy's outfit. Clark. I'm not really sure. Besides, Rip said there's a good chance Izuku's suit is still alive. Lana. Well, I bet that suit and I could get along if we talked a little. Clark. I doubt that a little. Con Los Outsiders. Izuku quickly uses the red sand from his cape to create barriers, and these harden and transform into ruby barriers. Sun. Not bad. Izuku. I didn't even know you could do that. Brian. Okay, are we going to fight or are we going to escape? The outsiders look at each other. Then they look at their leader. Garfield hesitated for a moment, but he knew they didn't have many options. Garfield. Okay, showtime. Izuku transforms his protection back into its red sand form, and it returns to its cape form. The outsiders get into position, then launch into action. Andy transforms into her mist form and disperses throughout the area. Leah activates her powers, and creates an illusion of a malefic beast from Mars. Students from other courses escape the scene, while students from the hero courses retreat in fear. Leah uses the malefic to clear a path through the corridors, and sends him to find a safe exit. The outsiders use Andy's mist form to attack undetected. Bakugo. Enough of this stupidity. Bakugo throws an explosion into the ground, causing Andy to revert to her human form with some injuries. Leslie helps Andy to stand up. Aizawa tries to use his quirk to erase the outsiders' powers, but it has no effect on them. Aizawa. It's impossible, unable to understand. Cassandra pulls some batarangs from her belt and tries to attack the students and teachers. Midnight tears open his suit, and releases his pheromones. Midnight thought his power would render the outsiders unconscious, but surprisingly, it didn't affect them either. Tim. Why don't their powers affect us? Stephanie. One problem at a time, Tim. All Might transforms into his muscular form and tries to punch the outsiders. Izuku stops his fist with one hand. Everyone who saw that couldn't believe it. A first-year student had stopped the fist of the former #1 hero. Izuku punches All Might in the face, sending him flying away from his friends. All Might goes through several walls, eventually bursting through a window and shooting out towards a UA training field. Izuku looked at his fist, and saw that it was smoking. Izuku. Saul, could it be that you? Saul. No, friend, that wasn't me. Violet. Wow, with a sparkle in her eyes. At that moment, Leah manages to find a safe way out thanks to the malefic she created with her mind. Leah. Let's get out of here. The outsiders escape with Leah as their guide. The teachers and students try to capture them, but the outsiders won't be defeated so easily. Brian throws a blast of lava to the ground, and Terra uses it to create a rock wall that blocks the students' path. Terra. We already won. Tokiyami uses Dark Shadow to knock down Terra's rock wall. Brian. Devils. Terra. We have to go, we have to go, we have to go. Starts running. Everyone arrives at the UA exit and Bart starts accelerating to get to the javelin first and activate it. Harper draws his weapons and begins shooting at the students and teachers. Garfield. Harper, Para. Harper. Relax, they're not bullets, they're tranquilizers. Some of the students and teachers fall to the ground unconscious. At that moment, All Might falls from the sky, creating a shockwave that sends the outsiders flying. Some end up somewhat dazed by the strong impact, while others barely manage to get up. Izuku helps Cassandra to her feet, and they both get into fighting stances. Cassandra draws her katana, while Izuku activates his armor helmet, and with it an energy blaster. All Might. Young Midoriya, I urge you to reconsider. The people you are with are very dangerous. Cassandra gets angry when she hears that. Izuku. I don't know who you are or who the people with you are, but unlike you, my friends have treated me quite well. All Might clenches his fists. All Might. Very well, then so be it. Izuku and Cassandra launch themselves at All Might, and begin to fight. Cassandra manages to cut All Might, while Izuku starts shooting at him with his blaster. All Might steps back, and prepares to attack. All Might. Texas Smash. Launching his attack, Izuku stands in front of Cassandra, and uses his red sand cloak to protect them both. Izuku quickly uses his heat vision against All Might, sending him crashing into the academy. At that moment, Bart arrives at the scene piloting the javelin, and all the outsiders climb onto it to escape. They all board the javelin, and escape from Musudafu. Izuku and Cassandra take a seat, quite tired from their fight. Terra. I don't know about you guys, but I think when the team and the lead find out what we did, they'll ban us from the Watchtower. Brian. You said it, sister. A few hours later, we find ourselves in the Bat Cave, where Barbara was trying to track Lady Shiva. At that moment, the elevator doors opened, and Dick stepped out. Dick. It's almost dawn. Don't you want to rest for a while? Barbara. This is important, Dick. With the information Tenji, Bronze Tiger, and some of the former League of Assassins members provided, I'll soon be able to pinpoint Lady Shiva's next stop. Dick. I think you're taking this a bit personally. Barbara. Listen, after all the suffering Lady Shiva put Cass through, I'm not willing to stop until she pays for everything she did. Dick simply doesn't say anything, and just stares at the monitor. In a Star Labs hangar, Artemis could be seen scolding the outsiders for what they did. Artemis. I'm very disappointed in all of you. And especially in you two, glancing sideways at Izuku and Cassandra. You two are supposed to be the most responsible and experienced when it comes to handling difficult situations. I can't believe you both got yourselves into this mess. Izuku. Miss Artemis. Don't blame Cass and my friends for this. We only did this mission to learn more about my past. And well, Leah. It went pretty well. Wendy. We were almost captured, but we managed to escape without any casualties. Artemis looks at them all with disapproval, while the others just look at the outsiders with some intrigue. Megan. Well, I guess that since they managed to find out some things about Izuku's past, it makes up for the fact that they carried out an unauthorized mission. Tara. So, will they let us have access to the Watchtower again? Thinking she had been wrong about what she said earlier. Zatanna. That's still under discussion. A few minutes later, Cassandra and Izuku were walking through the corridors of the Outsiders' tower. Cassandra. Hey, see, can I ask you something? Trying to speak properly. Izuku. Of course, you can ask me anything you want. Cassandra. Don't you find the way I speak annoying? Trying to speak correctly. Izuku is surprised by what Cassandra said. Izuku. Of course I don't find it annoying. In fact, I find it kind of cute. A little embarrassed. Cassandra blushed slightly, but at the same time, she felt very happy because of Izuku's words. Cassandra hugs Izuku with great joy. And he hugs her back. Saul. This is so adorable. With Barbara, she had finally managed to decipher Lady Shiva's next move. Alfred approaches her. Alfred. I see you've made exceptional progress, Miss Gordon. Barbara. That's right, Alfred. We'll soon find out what Lady Shiva's next plan is. Alfred. Is Miss Cassandra aware of this? Barbara. I'd rather keep Cass out of this. If something goes wrong, I don't want her to get hurt because of me. Alfred. I see. From what I can tell, Miss Cassandra considers her like an older sister. Barbara. Yes, I know. And that's why it's my responsibility not to let Cass get hurt again. Alfred. You have matured quite a bit, Miss Gordon. Barbara. Thank you, Alfred. With Tara, she and Harper meet at a restaurant across the street from the Outsiders' tower. Tara. I don't understand why I'm the only one on the team who hasn't managed to grow yet. Harper. Don't worry, you'll be going through puberty soon. And that's when you'll start to change. Like your height, your voice. Tara. Hey, I'm a 15-year-old teenager, it doesn't make sense that I haven't grown up yet. Harper. Relax, be grateful you don't have to cut your hair every day. Tara. Wait, you cut your own hair. Harper. Obviously. Tara. Haven't you thought about letting it grow a little longer? Harper paused to think for a moment about what Tara had said. But before Harper could give her answer, the lights went out. Tara looks out the window, and she would see that all the electricity in the buildings and streets had been cut off. Harper places his hand in the hidden pocket of his jacket, and takes out his gun. Harper and Tara leave the restaurant, and all they would see was darkness. Tara places her fists on the ground, and covers them with rock and asphalt. At that moment, shadowy, ninja-like figures emerge from the shadows and attack them. Harper starts shooting, while Tara starts throwing rock punches. With Violet, she was helping Cassie with the electric generators to bring the electricity back on. Cassie. That's strange, the generators don't seem to have run out of fuel. I knew we should have used solar panels instead of generators. These things break down every week. But right at that moment, they both hear a noise behind them. Violet uses her blue aura to illuminate the entire place, but there would be no one else in the room apart from the two of them. Cassie. This is giving me a bad feeling. Cassie unties her lasso of truth from her belt, and she and Violet get into fighting stances. At that moment, someone stabs Violet in the back, plunging a knife into her neck. Violet falls to the ground, and her blue aura changes to her purple aura, and she begins to heal. Enemies emerge from the shadows and attack Cassie. Cassie begins fighting them all, while trying to give Violet some time to fully heal. More enemies begin to emerge from the darkness, and they begin to brutally attack Cassie. With Izuku, he and Saul had separated for a moment just to rest for a moment. Saul takes the form of Izuku's suit with the helmet, only in a female version. Saul. It feels good to have your own body. Izuku. Don't get too excited, remember we have to be alert in case something happens. Now, help me, we need to know what happened to the energy. They both leave Izuku's room, but at that moment, they both hear a noise coming from the darkness. They reunite and venture into the dark corridors. Izuku activates lights coming from his armor, and when he illuminates the area, he sees something that leaves him speechless. Standing before him was Cassandra, fighting none other than her mother, Lady Shiva. And unfortunately, Cassandra was expected to lose. Shiva, you're a complete disappointment. Brutally striking Cassandra, Cassandra backs away, and Izuku quickly approaches her to help her. Izuku uses his red sand cloak to protect Cassandra, while at the same time using his red sand cloak to heal his wounds. Cassandra, thank you, managing to pronounce the word correctly. Izuku, you don't have to thank me. Both get into fighting stances, ready to fight. Brian, he was fighting alone against an army of ninjas in the dark. Brian, they picked the wrong arsonist to mess with. Brian bumps his fists together, and a powerful burst of flame completely engulfs him, then melts the ground he was standing on, and covers him from head to toe. Brian charges at the ninjas and begins to knock them all down. With Terra, she and Harper were being cornered, and that made her furious. Terra clenches her fists, and the entire floor begins to crack. Rocks and fragments of concrete begin to float, and these attach to Terra's body. Harper and the ninjas retreat, and Terra's body is covered by a gigantic rock armor. Harper, they're so dead, looking at the ninjas. Terra runs at full speed towards the ninjas, and begins to brutally beat them. With Violet, she was already back in the game, and she would see the ninjas attacking Cassie. Violet quickly activates her red aura and tries to protect Cassie with her red force field. Cassie manages to protect herself thanks to Violet's force field. Violet, in a swift movement, changes her aura from red to yellow, and clasps her hands together. A powerful beam of yellow energy shoots from Violet's hands and knocks out all the ninjas. The ninjas fall unconscious to the ground, and somewhat injured by Violet's attack. Bart, he and Wendy tried to get the ninjas out of the tower with gusts of wind and super speed punches. Wendy throws wind blades at the ninjas, sending them crashing into the lobby pillars. The ninjas throw several kunai and shuriken at Wendy, but Bart stops them at super speed and sends them back to the ninjas. Some are injured, while others manage to dodge Bart's attacks. The ninjas were about to draw their katanas, but just at that moment, a car crashes through one of the lobby walls and falls on top of the ninjas. Terra was responsible, and she uses her rock body to crush the ninjas. Harper climbs off Terra's back and draws his twin rifles. Harper, the cavalry has arrived. With Izuku, he and Cassandra continued fighting Lady Shiva, who had taken the fight to the baby and bio-ship landing zone. Lady Shiva throws daggers made of emerald material at Izuku, and he ends up receiving the impact of one of them on his arm. The attack manages to injure Saul and Izuku, leaving them both incredulous and speechless. Seeing this, Cassandra steps between her mother and the boy she likes. Cassandra, don't hurt him. Lady Shiva, upon hearing her daughter's voice, could not believe it. Saul, and what about me? Lady Shiva tries to stab Cassandra in the throat, but Izuku quickly punches Lady Shiva in the face. Izuku covers his wound with the red sand from his cloak, while feeling a sharp pain in his wound. Lady Shiva quickly gets back on her feet and readjusts her nose. Shiva, well, at least you got yourself a halfway decent suitor. Izuku blushes a little, but tries to maintain his composure to continue fighting. Brian, he had burned down an entire floor and the ninjas who were in it. The rest of the outsiders arrive at the apartment where Brian was, and are speechless at the sight of all the dead and incinerated bodies of the ninjas. Garfield, this is going to give us a bad public image. Harper, forget about that, we have to keep climbing. Everyone agreed with Harper, and they tried to get to the elevator. With Izuku, Lady Shiva draws a weapon with a green glow inside, and shoots Cassandra with it. Izuku. No, Izuku steps between the gunshot and Cassandra, and his hand ends up being pierced by the gunshot. Cassandra is concerned about Izuku's well-being, while Izuku looks at her hand with some restrained fear. Shiva, I don't know if you're incredibly brave, and absolutely stupid. In a swift movement, Lady Shiva draws a sword hidden on her back, and this sword transforms into a giant blade of kryptonite. Cassandra tries to intervene, but Izuku pushes her out of danger. Lady Shiva stabs Izuku in the back, causing severe damage to Soul's artificial intelligence. Izuku falls to the ground, and Saul begins to suffer minor injuries. Saul. Shish, shish, sssshh, and no. I can't. Continue. Saul deactivates, and Izuku falls to the ground unconscious and seriously injured. Upon seeing this, Cassandra bursts into tears and tries to defeat her mother to save Izuku. Cassandra begins throwing punches uncontrollably and without stopping. Lady Shiva would see how her daughter allowed herself to be dominated by her emissions, and she would be quite disappointed in her. Lady Shiva leaps forward and delivers a precise blow to Cassandra's neck. Cassandra's nervous system shuts down, and she falls unconscious into her mother's left arm. Shiva. And you disappoint me again. Well, I suppose I can't expect too much from a deserter. Holding her daughter. At that moment, the outsiders arrive at the location, and are surprised by what they see. Violet quickly tries to heal Izuku with her powers, but they don't work on him. Violet. Please work, please work, please work. Harper and Brian begin to launch flames and bullets at Lady Shiva, but she dodges the attacks, and disappears into the darkness with Cassandra as her prisoner. Some were frustrated, while others were concerned about the well-being of their fallen friend. A couple of hours later, Artemis had been informed about what happened at the Outsiders' tower, and decided to take it upon herself to find Cassandra. She was using Sphere in its flying motorcycle mode, and in addition to that, Artemis had the company of her sister Cheshire, and Amazing Man's granddaughter, Onyx. Cheshire. Okay, enter the Infinite Island, save the mute girl, avoid dying, super easy. Onyx. Is she always like this? Artemis. You have no idea. With Cassandra, she was chained to a wall. They had taken away all his equipment. He had nothing to protect himself with or to free himself with. Looking up, he would see the person he hated most in the world. His mother, his own mother, the one who had stolen his entire childhood. Lady Shiva, the leader of the League of Shadows, and former bodyguard of Ra's al Ghul. Shiva. It's good to have you home, my daughter. Lady Shiva approaches Cassandra. Cassandra quickly stands up in a fit of rage, despite being restrained by handcuffs and chains. Shiva. I'm very disappointed in you, but not at all surprised. You were never just a shadow in training, not for me. I molded you to be the perfect assassin. Cassandra looks away, filled with anger and frustration at her mother's words. Shiva. I shaped you to reach a potential beyond my reach, and I sent you on a simple mission, a child's game for you. Cassandra closes her eyes as she tries to no longer hear her mother's words. Shiva. And not only did you fail, you turned against us, against me. To run into the arms of the enemy. Cassandra glares at her mother with hatred, while Lady Shiva looks at her daughter with a cold, emotionless expression. With Artemis, she and her team had reached the Infinite Island, and they landed on a beach far from the area where Cassandra was located. They all descend from Sphere, and stealth mode is active to avoid detection. Cheshire. Okay, what's the plan? Because it's obvious that Lady Shiva won't be willing to hand over her daughter without a fight. Onyx. I agree with Cheshire. Lady Shiva is capable of anything to avoid being defeated. Artemis. You're right, and that's why I took the liberty of asking for reinforcements. Artemis uses her cybernetic contact lenses to deploy a mini drone from her quiver. Artemis. Barbara, you're online. Barbara. Perfect, communicating with the help of the intercoms. Cheshire. Is a mini drone piloted by a disabled woman who isn't even here really going to help us? Barbara. Don't judge a book by its cover, cat. Cheshire. Anyway, it's best to start now. Artemis. I agree with you. The group ventures deeper into the island, while Barbara's drone flies through the trees using the tracking system to locate Cassandra. The girls activate the night vision system of their cyber contact lenses. The girls encounter some agents from the League of Shadows, and these agents try to capture them. Cheshire draws his sai and takes down the soldiers with great precision. Cheshire plunges his sai into the head of one of the Shadow League soldiers, and brutally rips it off. Artemis was about to reprimand her sister, but she knew that time was against them. With the drone, Barbara managed to maneuver the drone through a ventilation duct in a cavern. The drone ventures into the duct, until it reaches what appears to be a block of cells. The drone begins scanning the cell block, and manages to find Cassandra in one of the cells. The drone flies to Cassandra's cell and finds her on her knees with tears running down her cheeks and her arms held up by the shackles. Seeing that on her monitors, Barbara couldn't help but feel extreme concern for the person she considered her younger sister. Barbara brings the drone closer to Cassandra, and activates the flying device's speaker system. Barbara. Cass, can you hear me? Upon hearing Barbara's voice, Cassandra looked up and saw the little drone with great joy and tears in her eyes. Barbara. Calm down, Cass. We'll get you out of here. With Artemis, she and her team managed to enter the island's hidden base and were heading towards the drone's location. Onyx. Don't you think all this was too easy? Cheshire. What do you mean? Onyx. We've only encountered ordinary soldiers, we haven't found any of the generals or heavyweights of the League of Shadows. Artemis. That means they may not have detected us yet, so it's best to keep going like this. Cheshire. I have a bad feeling about all this. The girls arrive at the cell block and manage to find Cassandra chained to one of the walls of her cell. The girls approach Cassandra's cell, while the drone deploys a combat needle which it hands to Cassandra to free her from the shackles. Cassandra began to force the lock on the shackles, but at that moment, the lights changed to a red color, and soldiers along with members of the League of Shadows arrived at the scene. Lady Shiva steps forward, and Artemis and her team get into position. Shiva. The light may be disappointed, but I am not. I have my daughter back. Cassandra manages to free herself, and quickly throws the needle towards the light source, destroying it and leaving the place in extreme darkness. Shiva. Night vision, now. The soldiers of the League of Shadows obey, and activate the night vision mode of their goggles. Shiva. Don't let them escape. The soldiers start shooting at the girls. One of Lady Shiva's henchmen activates his powers, and his body glows with purple energy. Cassandra manages to take down several of the League of Shadows soldiers, and manages to take a katana from one of them. Cassandra lashes out at her mother, filled with rage and fury for all the years of pain and sadness she caused her. Lady Shiva quickly repels Cassandra's attack with the help of her katana. Both katanas clash, generating sparks from the impact of both metals. Lady Shiva's expression at that moment was one of pure emotion as she watched her daughter give into her pent-up rage and fury, and saw her unwavering spirit and values shatter. Meanwhile, Cassandra had an expression of anger and determination to stop her mother and all the madness she had experienced firsthand. Both women back away, and then Cassandra lunges at her mother. Con Cheshire. She and Artemis were brutally fighting against the henchmen of the League of Shadows. They dodge gunshots, cuts, punches, everything they try to throw at them. Cheshire throws one of his say, and it sticks into the throat of one of Lady Shiva's henchmen. Meanwhile, Onyx was trying to stop the purple energy villain. Artemis starts shooting arrows at the giant, and Onyx takes cover behind her. On the other hand, Cheshire plants an adhesive bomb on a platform, and it manages to explode, sending several soldiers of the League of Shadows flying. But what Cheshire didn't know was that Black Spider was watching her, hanging upside down from her hiding place. And while the entire confrontation was taking place, Shade watched everything from the shadows, only to then disappear into the darkness. Barbarous Drone deploys some electric discs, and fires them at two soldiers of the League of Shadows. Barbara tries to use the same trick on Lady Shiva, but she anticipates this and manages to cut in half the electric disc that Barbara tried to shoot at her. Cassandra tries to take advantage of the distraction, but her mother is faster and manages to cut Cassandra's cheek a little. Barbara. Tigress. Orphan isn't ready for Shiva, we can't ask her to fight her own mother. Artemis manages to dodge a purple energy beam that the purple energy villain was trying to fire at him. Artemis. Yes, Artemis fires an arrow at the ground, and it explodes, sending the villain flying. With Cassandra, she tried to defend herself against her mother, but Lady Shiva had many more years of experience than she did. Lady Shiva delivers a precise blow to Cassandra's nose, and she begins to bleed from her nose. Cassandra falls to the ground, and Lady Shiva is about to kick her in the face, but Artemis arrives in time and stops Lady Shiva's kick with her bow. Artemis. Change of dance partner coming face to face with Lady Shiva. Cassandra spits out some blood, then sees the purple energy villain stand up. Cassandra attacks him, while Artemis stays behind fighting Lady Shiva. Artemis blocked Lady Shiva's attacks with the help of her bow. The purple energy villain tries to shoot Artemis with his energy beam again, but Cassandra, in a swift movement of her katana, manages to cut off his legs. The purple energy villain falls to the ground, and Cassandra cuts off his hands just to be safe. The purple-powered villain's hands fire his energy beams, and they end up shooting out towards Cheshire. Cheshire manages to dodge the hands, but they end up hitting some of the Shadow League soldiers on the head. At that moment, Black Spider shoots his webs at Cheshire, leaving her immobile. Black Spider. Ha, I caught you. Cheshire tries to stab Black Spider with his free hand and his sai, but Black Spider manages to leap away. However, what he hadn't counted on was Cheshire severing the webbing fluid tank in his suit, which then envelops Black Spider in a cocoon of his own webbing fluid. Black Spider. No, trying to break free. With Artemis, she and Lady Shiva continued fighting fiercely. Artemis manages to draw a katana hidden in his quiver, but Lady Shiva simply drops her katana to the ground. Artemis tries to cut Lady Shiva with his katana, but she, in a swift movement, stabs Artemis in the leg. Artemis falls to the ground, and Cheshire would run to help her. Cheshire. Artemis. They all rush to help Artemis, but they end up being surrounded. Soldier. Power is back online. Shiva. That's enough. Picking up his katana. Soldier. Turn on those lights. The lights came on, and the girls would see that they were now in serious trouble. Lady Shiva would view the heroines with clear annoyance. Shiva. Again, surrendering is your only option. Some soldiers tried to capture the girls, but at that moment, a portal of darkness opened in the ground, and the girls and the soldiers fell into it. Lady Shiva wastes no time, and jumps into the portal before it closes. Black Spider. What happened? With his back turned and unable to move. On the beach, a portal opens and the girls shoot out of it. The two soldiers from the League of Shadows then came out. Cheshire. Push them back in. Onyx and Cheshire push the Shadow League soldiers back into the portal. They were both about to rush back to the portal, but Lady Shiva ends up cutting them both down, and is covered in their blood. They all get into fighting stances, and Lady Shiva brandishes her katana against the four of them. Lady Shiva looks away for a second, and is surprised to see Shade. Shiva. You dare betray me. Shade. I owed Cheshire a debt, now we're even. Cheshire. Okay, nods. Shiva. But we're not glaring at Shade. Shade. Number. That's why I'm resigning from the League of Shadows. From this moment on, Shade is independent. Lady Shiva tries to kill Shade by throwing shuriken at him, but he uses his powers to disappear into the shadows. Lady Shiva tries to attack the girls, but at that moment, Sphere arrives and starts shooting energy beams at Lady Shiva, forcing her back. Artemis. The new Genosphere has you in its sights, Shiva. Don't move. Onyx helps her stay upright. Cheshire. Onyx, Orphan, get Tigress aboard and heal her wound, keep the pressure on. The girls obey, and help Artemis climb onto Sphere and tend to her wound. Shiva. I admit I can't help but yield. I even yielded to Shade and Onyx's departure despite their crimes against the shadows. But I must insist they leave my daughter behind. Artemis tries to resist the pain while attempting to remain steadfast. Artemis. It's not going to happen. Shiva. My shadows are everywhere, you know that, Cassandra. They watch over your friends, your companions. Stay with me, my child. Or my shadows will marry off all those you care about. Cheshire. That's a lie. Shiva ascending to Sphere. Shiva. And with one word from me, your friend Barbara Gordon will be dead before they return to Gotham. Upon hearing that, Cassandra can no longer contain herself and attacks her mother. Artemis. Orphan, no. Artemis would try to follow Cassandra, but Onyx stops her. Cheshire. Let her finish, sister. It's better for everyone, believe me. Artemis. No, we don't turn children into killers. This time Cassandra didn't want to hold back. She wanted to put an end to all the madness her mother had caused, and prevent another child from suffering the same fate as her. Cassandra swung her sword furiously, while her mother blocked her attacks with precision. At that moment Barbara's drone gets between the mother and her daughter, but neither of them pays attention to it. Barbara. Orphan, stop, this is not what you want. Cassandra doesn't listen to Barbara, and continues fighting against her mother. Cassandra increases the speed of her attacks, and Lady Shiva would begin to feel as if her daughter was starting to surpass her. Cassandra sends her mother's katana flying, and in a swift movement, plunges her own into her mother's body. Lady Shiva falls to the ground bleeding profusely, and Cassandra would be more than ready to finish the job by placing her katana against her mother's neck. Barbara, seeing everything with the help of her drone, would try to reason with Cassandra. Barbara. Please, Cassandra, you are free now. You don't have to be the weapon your mother tried to create. Cassandra begins to doubt, and Lady Shiva smiles maliciously, thinking that she has finally broken the spirit of discipline and happiness that her daughter had managed to form with those who accepted her into their family. Cassandra looks sadly at her mother, and simply pulls her katana away from her neck, and walks away from Lady Shiva. Cassandra. I'm sorry our life has to be this way, as she walks away from her mother. Barbara sighs calmly, knowing that Cassandra has come to her senses. Lady Shiva raises her gaze, filled with rage and fury. Cassandra boards Sphere, and looks somewhat sadly at her mother as the ship leaves the island. Shiva. Who do you think you're fooling, child? I saw it in your eyes, you're still a murderer. By letting these people adopt you, you think you've rejected me, that you've declared yourself an orphan. But you're not an orphan, you're Cassandra Wu-san. Go back to your mother when you're ready to admit who you really are. They had all managed to hear Lady Shiva's last words despite the great distance between them, and they had certainly affected Cassandra quite a bit. Artemis and Cheshire removed their masks, and they would see Cassandra begin to cry silently. At the Watchtower, we find ourselves at the Justice League space base, where doctors and heroes are trying to heal Izuku's injuries. Some fragments of kryptonite had become lodged in parts of his body, and they were trying to remove each and every one of them. Right at that moment they were going for the first fragment lodged in Izuku's chest. They insert clamps into Izuku's chest and begin the operation. Izuku lets out a heart-wrenching scream, and his suit interprets that as a danger alert and tries to defend Izuku from the supposed attackers. Izuku's red sand layer tries to attack, but only ends up destroying part of the operating room. The doctors manage to extract the first fragment of kryptonite, although some end up feeling a bit dizzy from the shock. The doctors try to proceed, but Izuku stops them in their tracks. Izuku. I'll take care of it. The doctors see a blue glow light up Izuku's eyes as he extends his hand to receive the tweezers. The doctor thinks about it, but decides to give the tweezers to Izuku. Izuku puts them in his chest, and begins to search for the fragment of kryptonite that might be lodged inside. After a couple of seconds, Izuku manages to pull it out, but ends up exhausted from the fatigue. A doctor approaches him and takes his pulse. Doctor. Your pulse is low and decreasing. Doctor. What do we do? Doctor. Bring the mother box. The doctor takes out a metal container, and from it he takes out a motherboard. The doctor activates it, and it begins to heal the internal wounds that were all over Izuku's body. With Cassandra. Now we find ourselves in Gotham City, more specifically in Barbara's apartment. Cassandra, Barbara, and Artemis's team were in that place. Cassandra approaches Barbara and hugs her tightly as tears begin to flow from her eyes. Cheshire lies down on an armchair without permission and tries to make a call using the house phone. Artemis. What are you doing? Cheshire. Isn't it obvious? I'm trying to make a call. Artemis. Why aren't you using your phone? Cheshire. If you didn't know, I use 2 phones. One personal, and one for work. And right now I don't have my personal phone. Artemis. I assume you're going to call Roy. Cheshire. That's right, Artemis. You might not know this, but it's 10 o'clock at night in Star City. And Lien and Roy are probably asleep. Roy. Artemis was very wrong, since Roy and Lien weren't even in Star City, but rather at the Watchtower, in the company of Malcolm Duncan, better known as the Third Guardian and also Bumblebee's husband. Lien clung to her father's leg, while Roy tried to get his daughter to let go. Roy. Wouldn't you feel more comfortable sleeping in one of the available rooms? Lien. No, I don't want to sleep, I want to see mommy. Roy. Well, I tried. Malcolm. Do you know how the Kryptonian boy is doing? Roy. No, Arrowhead said he's still in the infirmary. The kryptonite really affected him. Malcolm. I still don't understand something. Some people think he's just a human in a suit that gives him Kryptonian powers. Does it also give him Kryptonian weaknesses? Roy. You may be right about that. Con Stephanie. She and the outsiders were in the waiting room of the Watchtower's medical area. Tim. I hope he's okay. The attack he suffered could kill anyone. Connor simply keeps his gaze fixed on the ground. Megan was sitting next to him, holding Connor's right hand with her left. Dick. I still don't understand how Lady Shiva gained access to such a rare material as kryptonite. Cassie. Maybe he got it by being part of the light. You know, like Luther is a member of the light, and Lady Shiva is too. The answer might be pretty obvious if you look at it from a different angle. Megan. Now that I think about it, that makes some sense. I just hope other members of the light don't resort to using something as dangerous as kryptonite. Garfield. They'll most likely try something like that, especially considering their individual goals. Everyone remains silent, thinking the worst. At that moment, Cassandra, Barbara, and the others arrive at the place. When Stephanie saw Cassandra, she immediately threw herself at her and hugged her tightly. Stephanie. Cass, you're alive, you're alive. Crying with happiness, Cassandra hugs her friend, and at the same time tries to keep Stephanie from covering her in snot and tears. Stephanie hugs Cassandra tighter, while Cassandra tries to break free from her friend's grip. The group of friends tries to separate the blonde from the deadly weapon girl. But surprisingly, Stephanie was stronger than she appeared. They finally manage to separate the two, but Cassandra ends up tripping and falling inside the operating room. When Cassandra looked up and saw something ahead, she would see something that would surprise her. In front of her was Izuku, now recovered, and with a major modification to his suit. His suit, formerly with dark and stealthy features, was now much brighter and more dazzling. Izuku. Cassandra, I'm so glad you're okay. Helping Cassandra to her feet. Cassandra couldn't help but start crying, and she hugged Izuku as she burst into tears. Izuku hugs Cassandra, while comforting her. Izuku wipes Cassandra's tears, while his suit takes on a civilian outfit form. Cassandra looks Izuku in the face as the green-haired boy wipes the tears of the girl in front of him. Without warning, Cassandra stands on her tiptoes and kisses Izuku with great joy. Izuku returns Cassandra's kiss, and kisses her with great happiness. The following morning, Stephanie was affectionately teasing Izuku about the kiss he and Cassandra shared. Stephanie. Come on, tell me, what does Cass taste like? Her mouth tastes like chocolate, like strawberries, Chance tastes like. Izuku doesn't let Stephanie finish, as Saul reactivates and points a blaster directly at Stephanie's head. Solution. Activating memory backup. Systems online and operating. Izuku. You have no idea how happy I am to hear your voice again. Saul. Yes, my voice is extremely beautiful. Izuku. I don't even care anymore that you're a vain AI. Stephanie tried to move the gun away from her head, but Saul kept pointing it at her. Stephanie. I bet it's like having Harper attached to your body. Izuku. Not exactly. Saul and Harper are quite similar now that I think about it. Stephanie. Okay, getting back to the important topic. What tastes like in Cassandra's mouth? With Cassandra, she was in the Batcave, training with Damien and Mia. Mia fires her Batclaw, but Cassandra manages to grab the hook and cable, then uses it to throw Mia at Damien. Both Robins ended up one on top of the other, although one was happier about it than the other. Cassandra wipes the sweat from her brow with a towel and sits down on the floor. Damien gets Mia off him and approaches Cassandra. Damien. You got tired so quickly already. You usually train until lunchtime, and then you train again until nightfall. Cassandra. I had a rather busy night stopping crime, so it's normal that I feel tired. Mia. You're right, I saw on the monitors that he came back when the sun was starting to rise. Damien. Were you out all night? Wow, you're amazing. Cassandra. I suppose so. Mia approaches Cassandra and Damien. Mia. Changing the subject. I'm curious about something. Cassandra. Okay, what are you curious about? Mia. Tell me what it feels like to kiss an alien. Damien and Cassandra are surprised by what Mia said. Cassandra. Izuku isn't an alien. Maybe his suit is, but he isn't an alien. Mia. Are you sure? Because I honestly think so. Cassandra. Well, it does have some similarities to Clark and Connor's species. But that doesn't prove anything. With Izuku, he and Saul were in the Waverider's medical room, investigating Soul's death records further. Izuku connects some cables to ports created by Saul. Izuku. Alright, let's see where you're from, Techno Harper. Son. The worst insult in the world. At that moment, some monitors show images of a kind of hellish wasteland in space. Izuku. But what is that thing? Saul. Let me introduce you to the Ghost Zone. Home to the most dangerous criminals of all. That's probably where I've been inactive for a while. Izuku. I wonder how you got to that place. Saul. Let's continue reviewing my memory to find more answers. At that moment, the monitors access a recording from Soul's memory. Listen, your duty will be to protect the firstborn of my children, understood? The recording now shows a small baby with yellow hair. She is my granddaughter, Kara Zor-El. Daughter of my son Zor-El. When we are not present, your duty will be to take care of her. Do you understand? Saul and Izuku were completely speechless at what they were seeing. Izuku. You were a babysitter for Kryptonian babies. Saul. It seems so. The recording now shows a young man holding nothing less than a red cape with the Superman symbol. The recording was somewhat blurry, but the subject's face was clearly visible. My name is Seg-El. Member of the House of El. And this will be my first recording for my artificial intelligence prototype. Izuku was speechless at what his eyes were seeing. Saul. So this is the kind of guy the first think I am. Well, I guess he'd be like my dad or something. Izuku. House of El. I think I've heard that name somewhere before. Son. Kal-El, Kon-El, Zor-El. Obviously, each member of the House of El has the word El in their name. Izuku. I know, I heard that somewhere else. Before this, son. One mystery at a time. Izuku. Okay, let's see. Probably when Krypton was destroyed. You must have ended up in the Phantom Zone. Saul. Exactly. And possibly when a portal from the Phantom Zone opened, I must have ended up on Earth. Only I still have no idea how you and I ended up linked. Izuku shifts his gaze towards a monitor frozen on the image of Kara Zor-El. Izuku. I wonder what happened to that Zor-El girl. Saul. MMMH. Well, it's not like I'm some deranged AI with dark thoughts. But there might be a tiny, minuscule chance that that little one is in the Phantom Zone. Izuku is a little surprised by what Saul mentioned. Izuku. Who would send a baby to a place full of galactic criminals? Saul. There's only one way to ensure it. Izuku. Okay, go ahead, I'm listening. Saul. We're going to have to go to the Ghost Zone. Izuku. And how do you expect us to do that? Saul. Well, you're talking through a telepathic connection with an AI inside a super tech suit. So basically, let's just say I've got my tricks up my sleeve. At that moment, the symbol of the House of El on Izuku's chest begins to transform into a Phantom Zone projector. Saul. Aim anywhere. Gideon will take it. Gideon. Of all the artificial intelligences out there, you are undoubtedly the most childish and unbearable. Speaking over the ship's communication systems. Izuku. Ladies, please maintain your composure. Deactivating the device on his chest. Izuku and Saul separate, and Izuku adjusts his jacket. Izuku. Saul, stay here, I need to talk to the Trinity about this. Izuku leaves the Waverider, leaving Saul alone with Gideon. Saul. So, how does it feel to have an excessive amount of weight that you can't lose? Gideon. You have no idea how much I hate you. A few minutes later, Cassandra was entering the Watchtower coordinates into the Batcave's boon tube. At that moment, Dick and Barbara exit the elevator. Dick. Are you going somewhere? Cassandra. To the Watchtower. I'd like to speak with Izuku. Barbara. You know, Dick and I have been talking, and I think you could use a chat about couples. Cassandra is surprised by what Barbara just said. Cassandra. You're not serious. Please tell me what you're not doing. Dick. Yep, he is. And quite a lot. Barbara. Not to brag, but in my youth I was quite good at romantic relationships. Cassandra tries to cover her ears so she doesn't hear what Barbara is saying. With Izuku. He and the Trinity were talking about what Izuku had discovered. Bruce. Are you sure about what you're saying? Izuku. Absolutely. Diana. I never thought Saul could create a Phantom Zone projector. Bruce. I'll tell Red Tornado to bring the projector that's in the Hall of Justice so we can stabilize its frequency with the projector in Izuku's suit. While Diana and Bruce continued talking, Izuku noticed that Clark seemed somewhat discouraged by the news. Izuku. Are you okay, Clark? Clark. Yeah, I never imagined a member of my old family was still alive. And even less that she'd been in the Phantom Zone all this time. I've been there before, but I've never seen a Kryptonian capsule. I just hope she's okay. Diana places her hand on Clark's shoulder to comfort him. In Metropolis, Mr. Miracle was sitting on a park bench, waiting for someone. In that scene, a person approaches him, and that person was none other than Orion. Miracle. You took your time. Orion sits next to Mr. Miracle. Orion. I have important matters to attend to. I don't have much time. Orion takes off his helmet and looks up. Orion. It's been a while since I've visited Earth. Is there anything I should know? Miracle. Well, I don't know about you. But lately I've felt like I'm being watched. Orion. You're a risk taker, you're always putting yourself in danger. What did you expect? Miracle. I see. Orion. How's Big Barda? Miracle. Well, Mr. Miracle takes out his wallet and shows some photographs. Orion. Adorable. I didn't know you had a daughter. Miracle. Hey, I invited you to his birth, even the Furies were there. Orion. I suppose Granny Goodness must have her in her sights. Miracle. Actually, she's not aware of my daughter's existence. Orion. Well thought out. Miracle. I want this to remain a secret, so I don't want anyone else to know. Do you understand? Orion. Of course, I wouldn't gain anything if I left it to someone else. At that moment, Orion senses an unusual presence in the environment. Mr. Miracle notices that too. They both quickly get into fighting stances, and Orion puts on his helmet. Mr. Miracle takes a mother box out of his pocket, and it gives him his suit. At that moment, a red beam falls from the sky and strikes right in front of them. The smoke dissipates, and a kind of combat robot appears in front of them both. Orion is the first to attack, and begins to strike with all his might. The robot manages to withstand it, but it does end up with a couple of dents in its metal body. The robot fires a red energy beam from its eye, and it drags Orion a couple of meters. Mr. Miracle deploys some levitation discs and uses them to attack the robot from above. Mr. Miracle begins to launch bursts of energy from his gloves, but they do nothing to the robot. Orion gets back up and charges at the robot with all his might. The robot is dragged by Orion, and this time it would be somewhat damaged. The robot launches a blast of ice from the opening at the bottom of its head, and it manages to freeze Orion. Orion is frozen by the attack, but this doesn't stop him so easily. Orion, with all his strength, manages to break free and begins to attack again. Mr. Miracle lunges at the robot and begins to hit it while holding onto its neck and back. The robot quickly manages to get Mr. Miracle off him, and throws him at Orion. Mr. Miracle manages to stop in time, and he and Orion attack the robot. Orion claps, creating a shock wave, while Mr. Miracle creates a boom tube right behind the robot. The robot buries its fists in the ground, so as not to be dragged by the shock wave and pass through the boom tube. The robot's body begins to generate energy discharges, and it shoots out towards Orion and Mr. Miracle. The robot charges at them both, and ends up hitting Mr. Miracle in the ribs, while Orion hits him in his helmet. Orion's helmet cracks, while Mr. Miracle bleeds out as he lies unconscious. Orion tries to help Mr. Miracle, but the robot prevents him by hitting Orion again in his helmet. The robot begins to brutally beat Orion without mercy, until he leaves him lying on the ground. Orion stands up, his helmet shattered and falling off his head, his face marked, and his eyes glowing bright red. Orion attacks the robot, and begins to hit it while unleashing all his rage. Orion throws merciless blows, with such force that his blows generate small shock waves. The robot starts to throw sparks and short circuit. Orion doesn't care about that, and hits him harder and harder. The robot falls to the ground, and its chest begins to open. The robot opens completely, and out of it levitates none other than a girl in a black suit with blonde hair. Orion would be confused, but the girl wouldn't give him time to think. The girl unleashes a burst of red energy beams from her eyes. Orion tries to dodge the attack, but the eye beams change direction and hit Orion directly. Orion falls wounded to the ground, and the last thing he sees before fainting is the mysterious blonde girl. A few minutes later, Orion and Mr. Miracle had been sent to the medical area of the Watchtower. Both were severely injured, and had extensive internal damage. Izuku and Big Barda enter the room, and are a little surprised by the condition of both heroes. Mr. Miracle opens his eyes, and the first thing he sees is Big Barda. Mr. Miracle. Hello, honey. Am I dead yet? Big Barda sighs, and holds her husband's hand. Big Barda. Stop taking so many risks. Mr. Miracle. Don't worry, you know I'm not easy to kill. Big Barda. But if it hurts. While the couple continued talking, Izuku approached Orion to question him. Izuku. What the hell happened? How did they both end up so badly? Orion sits down on the cot with some difficulty, and looks Izuku in the eyes. Orion. It was a damn madness. I don't even know where to begin. Izuku. Just say the last thing you remember. Orion. Well, Miracle and I were talking about ordinary things in the park, and suddenly everything turned into complete madness. Mr. Miracle. We were talking about my cute little princess. Big Barda gets angry instantly. Big Barda. Did you tell her about our daughter? Mr. Miracle. Don't worry, he promised not to say anything. Orion. I swear I won't tell anyone about this. Izuku. Mind, it's good that I left Sol with Wave Rider. I hope she's behaving herself. With Cassandra, she finally managed to break away from Dick and Barbara's conversation, and now she was looking for Izuku. At that moment, Cassandra hears some loud noises in the Watchtower hangar. Upon entering the hangar, Cassandra would see an epic battle unfold between Sol and Wave Rider. Gideon exits the Wave Rider and digitally possesses Adam's suit. Gideon takes Leonard and Mick's guns and starts shooting at Sol. Sol uses the layer of red sand as a shield, and protects himself with it. Cassandra didn't know whether to sit back and watch her intervene and get hurt. Sol transforms his layer of red sand into spikes of a ruby-like material, then fires his projectiles at Gideon. Gideon dodges Sol's attacks, and quickly shrinks down to attack from blind spots. Cassandra takes a seat and removes her mask to admire the fight. Gideon starts shooting everywhere, but more specifically at the weak points of Sol's body, which were not easy to hit. Sol quickly fires a freezing blast at Gideon, but she repels it with Mick's weapon. Gideon quickly returns to his original size and begins shooting fire and ice at Sol. Sol dodges both attacks, then fires bursts of solar energy from his hands. Gideon starts firing, and both attacks collide with each other. Cassandra watched in amazement as both attacks collided, and as the power of both artificial intelligences, weapons was unleashed. Gideon quickly shrinks back down and lunges at Sol. Sol intercepts Gideon, and quickly manages to punch him with all his might. Gideon falls to the ground, but that only increases his desire to beat Sol. Gideon attacks Sol again. Sol stands up with difficulty, but that doesn't stop her. Sol lunges at Gideon and begins to hit her. The blows were precise, and quite efficient. Cassandra read every move, and she could see that Sol was trying to hold back. Cassandra, mind, why is she holding back? Gideon doesn't feel pain, and if Adam's suit is destroyed, she can simply return to the Wave Rider or possess another robotic body. Something's not right. Gideon quickly gets Sol off him, and attacks again with his elemental weapons. Sol blocks the attacks, and uses her red sand cape like a whip. Sol manages to snatch Leonard and Mick's weapons from Gideon using his red sand cloak. Sol. You're not so tough anymore. Gideon. Shut your non-existent mouth. Gideon lunges at Sol, and begins to strike her in the shield of the House of El on her chest. Gideon's actions leave Sol in a state of shock. Based on what he saw in his memory recordings, its creator designed it to protect his grandchildren, and at the same time to be able to be part of his family. And seeing how Gideon damaged her family's symbol with such rage and fury, it enraged her to dangerously critical levels. Sol stops Gideon's fists with her red sand cape, and raises it into the air. Sol begins to hit and remove pieces of Adam's armor from Gideon, while looking at her angrily. Cassandra was already beginning to consider intervention. Cassandra tries to separate the two artificial intelligences, but Saul carefully and gently moves her aside so as not to accidentally hurt her. Gideon tries to break free from Soul's grip, but the artificial intelligence of the planet Krypton wouldn't let him so easily. Saul releases Gideon, and now the Wave Rider's artificial intelligence would have lost many important parts that kept it upright. Gideon tries to keep fighting, but his body was no longer in optimal condition to continue combat. Saul. One piece of advice, don't get up. Gideon. Yes, he hated you. Cassandra approaches Gideon and tries to help her. Cassandra. I truly regret her behavior, sometimes she crosses the line. Gideon. I can't believe anyone can even spend all day attached to her. She's quite annoying and tiresome. Cassandra. I know. But she matters a lot to me and to everyone else. So please don't be mad at her. Gideon. He destroyed an extremely advanced suit and weaponry. Cassandra. And I truly regret it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to like and please hype this video. Now we will see you in the next video.